Building a Rich Legacy Explained, brought to you in part by Dignity Memorial.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Building a Rich Legacy Explained. I'm Liz West. Many of life's true riches, they aren't in your wallet. They come from spending time with family and friends and serving our community. So today we'll explore the multiple meanings of legacy by discussing things you can do to enrich your life in retirement, how to give back to your community and make a difference, and unique and special ways to put your stamp on that final goodbye. So we're now joined by Aleksandra Vasic. She's the Director of Volunteerism at an organization called Volunteer Success. And thank you for volunteering to be here, Aleksandra.
It's a pleasure.
Tell us about this organization, Volunteer Success, and how did it get started?
Sure. Well, we got our start actually a few years before the pandemic. Our founder, Brian Prosserman, he thought, you know, he was helping his kids in high school at the time, trying to find volunteer opportunities, having some challenges. And then he was also kind of trying to run a volunteer program, right? And so he's like, why is it so hard to find volunteers or find opportunities? So he had this interest in tech, started looking at, okay, what are the job sites and how are they set up? Can we bring something like that to the nonprofit sector? So he got us started, and then, you know, he set us up as a nonprofit. We were incorporated, and then a couple years ago we got charitable status. So we've started to you know, seek grants. And now we're a team of 5, and so there's a couple people who work on the development side, software development, and then the rest of us are out there kind of like doing all the outreach. And I'm the subject matter expert in volunteer engagement. That's my background. I've worked as a volunteer coordinator, manager in different organizations.
Right, so you've got a great experience in the field
Yes,
of organizations with volunteers. So
that's right.
It's like a dating app
Yes.
for volunteering. I love it. You know, anything that helps pair us with what we need faster. So what is the process if I wanted to get started? What would be the process?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people will know that they need to go to a special website to find a job, right? But they don't necessarily think that there's like sites like ours that actually do the same thing but volunteer opportunities, right? So, or they, you know, they may just talk, it's word of mouth, or they might know of some well-known charities and they go there, but it's a bit of a hit and miss process. So, and also in Canada, traditionally we have had a network of volunteer centers. But they're community-based. We are Canada-wide, and now we have organizations from coast to coast, and even some up in the north as well. So basically what happens is the organizations will post an opportunity, a specific kind of role that they want to fill. And then, so it's like an ad, right? And a volunteer seeker would come to our site and they just do a search. And then if they click on a button that says, I'm interested, and then that
Swipe right?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Almost. And then the organization gets an email to say, this person with this email address just showed interest. But at that point, really, then we've made the introduction, really then it's up to the organization. Because the organization then needs to do the screening. And it's not, you know, depending on the role, it could be like the screening you do for an actual paid job, right? So there may be an application form, there may be an interview, references, police checks, all that stuff, right? So at that point, it's really about, you know, the volunteer and the organization making sure it's a good fit.
So I'm guessing there's people that are watching and they're thinking, oh, okay, it's that easy. I can go to a site and I can see opportunities. But how do I know if I'm not a volunteer, if it's something I haven't done and I'm starting from scratch? How do I know what kind of volunteer opportunity I need to be looking for? What's going to be right for me?
Right, and it has to be personal, really. It has to be personally meaningful for you. So there's a whole bunch of considerations you want to look at as part of your self-reflection process, like, you know, maybe there's a cause you particularly believe in, or maybe there's some sort of issue that, you know, or maybe a health issue, for instance, that's touched your family, right? And so now you want to give back. Maybe you want to meet like-minded people. Maybe you really love gardening and you want to join your local horticultural society, right? Or your botanical center, you know, so you think about those things, and then you think about some practical considerations too, like, do you want to work from home? Because there are lots of virtual opportunities, by, Zoom or phone. Or, is it far? How far can you go? Can you drive? Do you have any other physical limitations? So you start with that kind of analysis and then like reflection, and then you go and you do your research and see what's available and what kind of aligns with your needs and interests on a site like ours or your local volunteer center. And then, then you reach out. And I do tell people it's not that dissimilar from like applying for a job. You kind of,
which we keep coming back to,
exactly.
Right?
So you do want to kind of like apply to a number of different places before you actually find that perfect role that's going to be a good fit for you. And even if it doesn't work out, that's fine. You can just go find something else, right?
You break up? Do you just break up?
You can leave.
So you have mentioned it's like a job, yet the difference is this is something that you want to do, you're not going to get paid. And with jobs, you typically know the time commitment, 9 to 5, whatever.
Right.
How do you know what the time commitment's going to be for a volunteer position?
Typically that is, so in volunteer engagement, a good volunteer manager will have a position description, right? Just like a job description, except it's position, and they'll put in the time commitment there. So on our website, it's kind of obvious, like on each opportunity, there's a little banner that says either it's ongoing or it's an event. So you can kind of choose, and sometimes, trying out an event is kind of a good way to get to know the organization, get to know the people, and see if it might be a good fit. Like I've onboarded a number of amazing volunteers just through an event.
As we're talking, something popped into my head, like, there's so many of the big charities that have volunteer needs that are our go-tos, but there's probably an organization for every subject matter and every interest that needs volunteers.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I love my job right now because I see the most amazing opportunities pop up and I always think, oh, I want to do this.
Really?
I want to do this.
Well, you can or you can't. You can't volunteer all the time. Right?
No. But and they're with organizations that I've never heard of, right? And so it's true, like I've had so many people come to me and say, Alex, I applied to volunteer at Sick Kids Hospital and nobody ever got back to me. Well, one of the top kind of organizations, institutions in the country, a lot of people have been touched by it. Yeah, you want to volunteer there, but like the reality is they're going to have more people applying than they can offer positions to. So it's so good to go to a website like ours and just see the range of organizations, the range of opportunities that are out there.
We know for a fact that volunteerism is good for us, especially as we get older.
Yeah.
Why is that, do you think?
Oh my God, so a couple of years ago, we actually got a grant from the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility to promote volunteering to older adults. And I started doing the research and it kind of blew me away, I have to say. First of all, I didn't realize that earlier retirement is actually associated with increased risk of dementia. I did not know that. And that volunteering actually, it's the reverse. It actually decreases your risk of dementia. And it kind of makes sense because when you retire, you may be losing your sense of purpose, the structure to your day, the social connections, the mental stimulation, right? Volunteering can give that back to us. We also know that depression rates tend to be decreased by volunteering across the lifespan, right? Like at all ages, right?
Wow. Is that through, because you're being socialization and...
all those things, so many things. I mean, actually, there's one particular really lovely study that was done almost 10 years ago where they gave a group of retirees who had hypertension, they gave them some money. Half of them, they were supposed to spend it on themselves. The other half, they were like supposed to give it away. And then they measured their blood pressure. And in fact, the group that gave their money away, they actually have decreased rates of blood pressure comparable to what you get from medicine or exercise. So like it's physiologically, altruism is good for us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the previous speaker was just talking about the fact that, it's better than writing a check. So I suspect in this case, it was the fact that these people were physically handing the money to somebody else, right? It's that tangible act, right, that actually makes a difference.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. Like there was a 2020 data review that looked at a whole bunch of studies, and it's really like 100 hours a year can make all these differences in mental health, in longevity, you know, like just like everything, right? Like there's so much improvement, and it's not a lot of time that you need to give to it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of outlining the fact that if you're afraid of the concept of that you're going to be spending all your time doing this volunteer position, not at all. There's a range. It can be something that actually is fun to do.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that much
Right?
time. It really, really shouldn't. And also, people shouldn't be afraid of this kind. Like, I know that people sometimes when they go into retirement, they don't want to commit, right? Because they've just left a big commitment. But that commitment, that little bit of time commitment, will actually give you that structure to your day, to your week, that can be really important. So really, the longer you stay with an organization, kind of the more confident you get, the more effective you can be in the role. So, you know, like, you know, and listen, an organization, if you're a good volunteer, they're going to do what they can to retain you. They'll give you the flexibility. They'll give you the time away. You need time for caregiving or an extended vacation, whatever. They'll welcome you back, absolutely.
Wonderful,
You
thank
get to call the shots.
Well, sure, at that point, yeah. And you get to call the shots right now. Please let everybody know how they can reach you and your organization.
Yeah, so our main website is actually called volunteersuccess.com. They can visit there. But we actually have a secondary website we built out specifically for adults 55 plus called nextstagevolunteering.com. And it's full of like educational articles about the benefits and how to do it and all kinds of great stuff. Plus, it links to the opportunities on our main site. So either one of those two sites, volunteersuccess.com or nextstagevolunteering.com.
Wonderful. Aleksandra, thanks for being here.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you so
really
much.
Good information.
Great.
And a big thank you to all of our guests who joined us as we learn more about how to live a rich legacy. And thanks to all of you for watching. I'm Liz West. Until next time.